Hello, my name is Clarence Oliver, and growing up, I was constantly in a state of getting fatter and sadder. My entire life, as a child at least, was a process of trying to figure out why I couldn't fit in with the rest of the kids. At the age of 5, I was diagnosed as obese. I had a deconditioned heart muscle, which meant that I suffered from chronic chest pain and chronic fatigue. Day in and day out, I would try to play and interact with my peers and suffer constantly with wretched pains, nausea, dizziness, and asthma. It was a lot of work to try to figure out everything. And as I kept getting older, I kept getting fatter. It didn't seem to make sense. And no matter where I went, no matter what I did, no matter what happened, it never seemed to get better. All the effort, everything, all the work that I would put into doing something, every time a new diet, a new plan, a new strategy, a new something came up, I would commit to it. My mother would force me to commit to it. And it wouldn't work. I just keep failing, time and time again. I couldn't figure out why I couldn't succeed, why I couldn't achieve, why I couldn't live the life that I felt I deserved, the life that I felt that I wanted. I couldn't understand why this weight wouldn't just come off like you hear about time and again on all those commercials and previews. By 14, I weighed 250 pounds. Now, you might be wondering, well, what does all this have to do with succeeding, achieving your goals, accomplishing whatever you want? And for some of you, you're like, okay, I see where he's going. Let's hear him out. The fact is that through this process, through what will lead me to my changes, through everything that would change my life completely, it all began with this. It all began with failure. With understanding that even in your best of efforts, without the proper strategies in place, without the proper plans, without the proper know-how, it just doesn't work. You see, you can know what to do, but not how to do it, and you won't succeed. And you can know how to do it, but not the why, and you're always going to struggle. At 18, I finally thought I knew what to do. I stopped eating meat. I stopped drinking soda. I drank only water, and I ran 2 miles a day. 2 miles every day. Now, remember, growing up, I went to everything. I went to doctors. I went to nutritionists. I even went to witch doctors. I learned more about adiposity than anyone not making a living on fat tissue should probably ever learn. And here it was. I thought I had finally gotten in my head what to do and gotten the will to do it, and I went full hog on it. I went all out. Running every morning, getting up and just pushing myself 2 miles a day. 2 miles. Gotta do it no matter what. Eating only vegetables and fruits and some carbs, yes, pasta. And I thought I was going to see, the weight just melt away. And for 6 months, I didn't get on the scale. No, it was going to be my big celebration. It was going to be like right after my birthday. It's going to be in April, and I was going to be so wonderful and happy. Yes, finally, I was going to start off a new year of college. I was going to go through a summer of final shaping and toning and come back for the next year of college to be the best year of my life. And I got on that scale. 6 months. Jogging 2 miles a day. Drinking only water. Eating only vegetables. Eating no meats, at least. And I looked down, and you can imagine all this anticipation building inside of you. all this excitement and all this hope just coming out as you step up on that scale and you look down and the numbers blink and blink and blink, and then up comes 347 pounds. 347 pounds. That was nearly 50 pounds heavier than when I started that program. You can imagine the pain, the depression, the sadness that just flooded me. I picked up the scale and I looked at it and I examined it. I dusted off the feet. I blew on it too. I wanted to make sure that nothing was off, and I laid it back down, checked the evenness of the floor, hit it, got back on, looked down, and 347 again. But this time, as that scale glared at me in the accusatory way a scale can glare at you, I wasn't sad, I was angry. I needed to know why. I needed to figure out how come. This wasn't right. I deserved more. And I became determined to figure out the answer. I went upstairs in my house where my mother had kept all the writings, all the stuff, everything that we had collected over 14 years at that time, of diets, plans, nutrition, health. I took it all down and put it in my room, and I didn't leave my room for 2 days. I needed to know how, because I wasn't going to accept anything less. And I tell you this now, when you'll accept nothing but change, you'll be amazed at how fast you can change. And as I learned and studied and began to adapt and create my own plan based on everything I was reading, 5 pounds disappeared. 10, 15, 30, 50, all the way to 80 pounds in 1 year. But I still wasn't really happy. You see, I was still miserable. I still didn't have friends, I still didn't have success, but I now knew I could lose the weight. I knew all this time that what was holding me back was not having the proper strategy, not having the 4 principles. The 4 principles I'm going to lead you through. The 4 principles that are going to explain to you how to accomplish anything and everything. The 4 principles that would change my life forever. Because I just wasn't happy and I couldn't understand it. I was losing the weight. It wasn't exactly how I had envisioned it. But it was how I thought it should be. It was the numbers coming off. So I knew now I could do things. I knew if I put my mind to it, I could achieve just about anything. And so now I knew that what I had to do was to really begin to figure out how to achieve what I wanted. And that came to the 4 principles. The 4 principles that through all the books on weight loss, on nutrition, on health, on the psychology of achievement that I read, the 4 rules that showed me that it wasn't just about accomplishing a goal, it was about adapting and inventing and creating the entire world around you. Now, the first principle that I learned is that you have to have a vision. A vision is very different than a goal. A goal says, I'm going to do this. A vision says, this is how it's going to be. When you have a vision, you have the kaleidoscopic view of everything in front of you. You have the sense, you have the taste, you have the smell, you have the touch. You have everything right there in front of you. You can see it, you can hear it. You've broken through the haze and the mist and the clouds and the garish horns that mute the sound of everything you want to know about that event. Yes, when you fully have a vision, it is as clear an image of the future as you'll ever have. Because a vision tells you what you're going to create. A vision tells you what it is that says this is success. A goal tells you what it is you need to accomplish, what it is you want to accomplish. A vision tells you what it is you must create. It is the sum total of all your accomplishments. When you begin to create vision, which is a simple 3-step process that I am going to explain to you shortly, you are going to adapt everything in your life to that simple and easy truth, that vision, that structure that you see in front of you that will become your reality, the thing that you are moving toward. You will put yourself on a road, and you will know when you start to turn off that road because the vision will become less clear, and you'll know to get right back on. A vision gives you the roadmap to your success. Without it, you're going to struggle and you're going to fail, and even if you achieve great things, you're going to feel unfulfilled. The next thing is that you have to be proactive. Now, this has been said a lot from multiple books on self-development, from anything and everything. Look, you have to take action. There is no sitting around and waiting for things to happen. You have to take action. But we're a world of procrastinators. It feels good to procrastinate. It feels good to put off stuff that makes us uncomfortable, that's going to bring forth change, that's going to cause us to do things that we otherwise might not want to do. Or even things that we want to do, but just are going to be difficult, they're going to be painful, they're going to... Oh, yes. You see, we procrastinate, and we don't realize that when we procrastinate, we do far worse damage than if we tried and failed. We think failure is bad. But procrastination means that you never tried. And when you never tried, that means you never fail and you never succeed, which means you don't learn and you don't achieve. Procrastination is the greatest enemy to all achievement, to all success. Luckily, in simple, easy exercises that you can do every morning, you can begin to create for you a proactive mind that when you think it, you do it. When you want it, you go for it. You can begin to create for you a reality for which whatever you think, so shall you reap. And therein lies the third structure, which is that you have to have your passion. If you do not have passion, if you do not have the utter and complete desire for what it is you want to have, you're going to be struggling a long time. You see, it doesn't matter if you have that clear, beautiful vision. If it doesn't really matter if you achieve it, it's going to be a hard-fought battle for you to get up every morning to do it. Simply because you know exactly what it is you want to achieve doesn't mean that it's something that you want to have. This is what it has to become. A man can create and imagine a building, but never build it. Men and women all across this country and world have imagined for themselves the lives they want to have, but never do anything different from what they're doing. They can have the full vision of what a wonderful world it would be if they just did these things. But in truth, they also enjoy what they're doing now, so they don't really have that aligned passion. Passion will create for you action. But more than that, passion keeps you on track. Passion tells you that, yes, even if you fail, you'll get up and keep going. When you fall down, you'll dust yourself up. You'll dust yourself off and you'll get back on the road. Passion, purpose, and drive are the key to all achievement. If you don't have your passion in line, if you don't know what it is that truly drives you and what truly motivates you, and you can't align it with your vision, you can't align it with the goals, you can't align it with your work, you can't align your passion with your life, then you're not going to feel accomplished. But you see, passion is often confused for a want or a desire for one certain thing. No. Passion is a very, very innate quality. passion is broken down into its smallest bit, a singular thing that you probably only consider at the smallest level. But when you know what it is, when you know what it is that truly drives you as a person to action, your mind, your life open up in a way that you have yet to ever experience. Finally, you need to have emotional control. Everything can fall apart when you can't control yourself. When ups and downs happen and you fall apart and become ecstatic, you can't truly move forward. When you're left at the hands of a rocking boat in the middle of an ocean, you're going to be more likely to tip over and drown than you ever are to get to shore or to get to that new land. Without emotional control, without the willingness to have the sails at full force, to have the ability to keep pushing forward, to have the ability to know that you can swim if things go bad, to constantly be pushing yourself and controlling your state and managing the way you perceive, look at, and take action with. If you can't control your emotions, you won't control your life. And if you can't control your life, your passion, your drive, your vision, and your actions won't be there for you to control either. Now, let's start with passion. Let's start with vision. Let's get into the process of what it is for your vision. And how do you attain a vision? How do you really develop the vision that you want to have? You see, let's go back to my weight for a minute. When I lost the weight, I was still miserable. I was fat. I didn't say it on the scale, but I still felt fat. Why? Because the image I had in my mind, the vision I had cultivated, which was still murky, unclear, and not exactly certain in itself, was that I'd be like other people that I knew that were thinner and healthier, who when they lost 80 pounds, looked like they lost 80 pounds. But that wasn't the case. And then I went on and lost another 30, and I still looked around. Yeah, I was wearing medium clothes. I was lifting 150, 200, 300 pounds. I was feeling great, and yet I didn't have that clear vision. I didn't have that clear structure in my mind. And because of that, all those goals just seemed to keep falling off track because I didn't know where they were. I didn't know where they were in that vision that I really wanted. I didn't know what that vision really was. I just knew I wasn't happy or satisfied with what I had achieved. And I didn't know where to move to because I thought, well, what happens if I keep going and I'm still not happy? And then began the process of self-sabotage, where I put on 30 pounds. And then I had to learn. I had to take control. I had to figure out what it was that I really wanted. Now, when you take this process, when you take these steps, the first thing, the best thing, is to look around you and model somebody. This is to say that you should look around for what it is that you're truly interested in accomplishing. If you want to be the top salesman in a company, you need to go around and look at the top salesman and go, okay, this is the person I want to be. I want to be the person that's selling this amount every week, this amount every day, this amount every year. I want to see my name on the top sales list. I want to see my name on the leaderboards. I want to see my name here and here. You want to see it in your mind. You want to experience deep into your heart. You want to have the complete process envisioned. You need to know exactly what it is that you want for that specific structure in your life. You have to see it clearly. So it comes down to then sitting down and writing out, what do you want? What do I want? Write out the vision as clear as possible. Write it in the third person. Write it like it was your obituary. Take your own life and surmise it at the point of your death, and write it in that third person and tell your story. Tell who you were at the end of your life. Tell who you were at your highest level of success, and draw out that image. Make it as beautiful and big and gorgeous. Make it as sweetly scented and as explosively sounding as possible. Activate every sense you can until you can hear your own voice in that future, until you can see the picture of what it is that you fully want at your most successful. Because only when you know what it is that you truly want, only when it is that you have fully engaged the vision of yourself, only when you have written it all down, can you truly begin the process of developing that vision. Now, the third thing you have to do is that you have to constantly look at that vision. Start taking notes. Write it down. Break down what it is that you would need to achieve to get to that vision. This is where goals come in handy. You see, a vision, like I said, tells you what the end result is. The goals tell you what you have to accomplish to get to that end result. Once you know what it is that you fully want, once you have that huge picture, that panoramic image in front of you, then begin the process of breaking down what you have to do to accomplish it. A step-by-step roadmap to your achievement. A step-by-step ladder to your success. If you haven't broken it down, if you can't figure out, well, what do I have to do here, then you know where your deficits are. You know where you're going to start to struggle. You know what's going to hold you up, and you know what you need to start looking at and doing to break through. Because a lot of people want to work harder to succeed because they don't know what it is they really want. So they're like, I need more money. All right, more money means more hours. Got to do that. And they go and they work more hours and they get more money and they're miserable because more money wasn't exactly what they wanted. It was a piece to a bigger puzzle. You can't be vague with your vision. It can't just be, I want to be rich. That's not a vision, that's a want. A vision is something that connects to your very self-image. It is the end result of all your wants. It is how you will be, not what you will get. So it comes to the process. 3 things. Find somebody that's doing what you're doing in one way or another. Because if you know them, you can then see what they are, how they are, who they are, and you can begin to see the process of, yes, this is the type of person that I want to be. 2, create your own roadmap. Create your own image in your mind. You have to write about it. Write your obituary. Write out your vision of your future self. Write out what people will say about you when you're dead. Write out what your greatest success was and how you achieved it, that great vision that you have. And when you write it out, use all your senses. Activate every feeling. Feel it completely in yourself. Then you create the roadmap. You break it down. You create those step-by-step ladder to success with each individual goal that you need to achieve. This way you have an accountability. You have things that you know you have to do. You have things that you know you have to get done. And you have things that you can then check on. Where are you at on your road to your vision? Are you making the calls if you want to be a successful salesman? Are you getting out there and exercising daily if you want to lose the weight? Are you putting down the cigarettes if you want to quit smoking? It doesn't matter what your vision is for yourself. If you want to live a healthier life, are you quitting smoking? Are you doing the things that you want to do? It doesn't matter what your vision is. You know, once you have it, the goals you need to take to achieve it. And you break those goals down, and you break them down into that beautiful path that leads to your glorious vision. As I did with my weight, as I did with my friends. You see, it wasn't just that I was fat. It wasn't just that I was this big kid, it was that I had no friends. I had no self-esteem. I had no happiness. I was depressed and I was broke. My vision for myself wasn't a thinner, healthier me. No. It didn't matter that I kept losing weight. My vision was that I was social, that I was successful, that I was fit and healthy and desired by people around me, that I was loved and cared for. My vision was a massive view of the life I now have. And in that massive view came step by step what I wanted to do. Some things went with each other. Some things had to be done first to move on. But in the end, I now wake up happier every day. Yes, I have my down days. Yes, when my father had cancer, I had a down week, a down month. But he recovered, and I recovered, and we push forward. We move on. We go forward. Yes, you're not going to always be happy. You're not always going to be ecstatic. You're not always going to feel like everything's going to be good. But when you have your vision and you're moving to it, you'll be amazed at how happy you are each and every day just to be waking up so that you can make your moves to it. Even when things are falling apart, even when you're off the track completely, you know what you have to do to get back on it. You'll know also how to reshape and recalculate and restructure the track so that, yes, if you've fallen off it, how to get that road so it comes right back to it. Now let's move on to procrastination, to becoming proactive, to achieving your goals. Because when it comes to procrastination, I was probably the king of procrastination. You might all think, yeah, you haven't met me yet. But really, I would put off doing reports for school till I was in the class. I once created an entire final paper, an entire final presentation, I should say, 5 minutes before I had to get up and present it. I wrote three words on the board, and I got up there and I presented, and someone said, well, you should start speaking in public. And that's where I'm at now, huh? Procrastination isn't good, not for the reasons that people think. People go, oh, well, if you're procrastinating, you're putting all this extra stress on yourself. No. When you're procrastinating, you're putting off doing. Not just doing what you could get done now, but you're putting off doing it, which means that you're not failing and you're not succeeding, which means you're never learning and you're not achieving. That means that your life is in a limbo. It's not going to be moving forward, and it's not going to be moving backwards. It's going to be standing still, but you can't stand still in this world. When you stand still, you begin to fall backwards. It doesn't matter if you haven't failed at anything or you haven't succeeded at anything. You're going to fall backwards at all points. Procrastination isn't failure. Procrastination is the lack of anything. When you want to become proactive, you have to change the way in which your mind takes action, the way in which you perceive and feel about doing the things that you do. You see, every morning you get up, get dressed. Well, hopefully you get up, go to the shower, brush your teeth, and get dressed. But each morning you get up and you have some basic things that you do, and you do them every morning, or most mornings at least, that you have to do it, and then you get to work. This is a process that you've gone through, that you've programmed and conditioned into your mind. And you can have that same level of conditioning. You just have to convince your mind that what you're saying is the truth. That when you say, okay, I'm going to do this, your brain goes, yep, it's going to be done. Your brain follows the patterns in which you set for your life. So if you constantly are thinking, I'm going to go and get the mail, and then you lay on the couch and you don't get the mail, when you say, I'm going to go and start writing that book that I've always wanted to, I'm going to go and start making more calls or more visits to businesses to make more sales as I want to, your brain goes, when you said you're going to go get the mail, you sat on the couch. I think we're going to just sit in this chair here and relax, because I think that's what we're used to doing. You have to start changing the way in which your brain thinks, in which the way you take action. The most simplest system that I found is to start right with your morning. Tell yourself what you're going to do in the morning. I'm going to wake up. Well, if you don't wake up, you're going to have some difficulty. But I do have a friend, most successful person I know. Every morning, he has on his list, he writes out a list every night, and every morning he checks off, wake up. He has a whole thing for his morning routine that he checks off, simply so that he can have it in his mind that he follows what he writes down to do. And he does it in that order 95% of the time. So when he writes down, I'm going to go out and talk to 50 people, he goes out and talks to 50 people because it's been written down for him. And once he's written stuff down, it becomes almost a certainty for him, because everything else in his mind says that when he writes it down, he does it. Now, you don't have to write it down, but you can, and it's a good strategy to do, especially when you're just beginning. Wake up in the morning and write down the next things you're going to do. Have a little notepad next to your bed, a pen or a pencil on it, and write it down. I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to the shower, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Write it down, and then take those steps to do it. Reinforce it in your mind. I'm going into the shower. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm getting dressed. I'm saying I'm going and doing this, and I'm going each and every time. Within a week's time of doing this, you're going to find that when you start to think to yourself, I'm doing this, or I'm going to do this, that your brain's going to start going, okay, yep, that's the action we need to take. Every time you've been thinking about doing stuff, you've been doing it, we've got to start doing this stuff too. It's positive reinforcement for your own mind. Not from other people, not from an external stimuli, but from your own thoughts to your own actions. Your brain will be convinced that what you think, you will do. This simple formula may sound crazy to you, but I have used it in my own life to go from somebody who would procrastinate at everything to someone who moved himself to get out there and meet people, who moved himself to get out there and start creating for himself the life that he wanted. I didn't have that. I was never that person. People have met me from high school to today, have looked at me in awe, in disbelief, in uncertainty that I was even the same person. They didn't know what happened or how it happened or why I changed. They just knew that I did. Because I was no longer reacting or responding to the world in the same way that I reacted or responded to the world. I was always in the process now of thinking about what I wanted to do and then going and doing it once I decided that's what I wanted. How much better will your life be when you're able to make a decision about what you need to do, what you want to do, and you just begin to do it. No procrastinating, no hesitating, no fear, no worry, no excuses being made. Just action. Just you always taking that proactive route. Just you taking that travel to what you want and how you want it and where you want to be. You getting on the road and taking that journey of 1,000 miles by taking that first step. When you begin to use this very, very simple formula, all you have to do is every morning write it down or even just think it out. Think, I'm getting up. I'm going to the bathtub. I'm going to get dressed in these clothes. I'm going downstairs. Telling yourself what you're going to do before you do it will begin the process of your brain becoming convinced that when you tell yourself you're going to do something, you'll do it. No more procrastination. No more putting it off. No more forgetting about it. But becoming the proactive person that you've always wanted and that you deserve to be. Next is something that I'm very proud and passionate about myself, and that is passion. Passion, purpose, drive. These are the things that make life valuable. These are the things that make your life grow and become exactly what you want to become. When you have passion, you take weird steps that you never thought you'd take before. When you have a passion to start making friends, you go out to places and just start talking to people about anything. You don't even care anymore because now it's in your mind that you want to do that. That's what happened to me. I remember my very first night. It was January 3rd. It was a Tuesday. And there was a club that had an arts night where artists and writers and all these people would come and they try to sell their wares or, meet up and talk. It was my place, my type of place, the thing that I really wanted. And I was so scared of ever going there in the months before. But now I had my passion. I knew what I wanted. I had that full direction in my life of what was truly important to me. And I could take that importance and I could link it to making more friends. And I walked in, and just started talking to people. A random table of individuals just sitting there. And we talked and talked. And soon I was invited into a writer's group. After that, I was invited to an art show. By the end of the night, I had 8 different events that I was going to attend. And I had a bunch of people who Facebooked me the next day. From there, my group of friends grew and grew. My life changed. All because I had that simple understanding of what my true passion was. For you, you might think, well, I want this and I want that. And I'm really passionate about the plight of the orangutan. That's not passion. That's interest. That's a real caring. But what really fuels that caring, that interest, that want to do those things? What fuels your interest, your want to get up and work every morning? What fuels you? People go, well, money. Money isn't passion either. Money is a part of passion, for some people at least, but money isn't what you're passionate about either. There's something to the root of it. Now, I've talked with athletes, I've talked with people who have achieved some of the greatest things that you'd ever really think about achieving for yourself or for your life or even for other people's lives. I've talked with people who have gone out and built homes and orphanages in Africa. I've talked with people who have gone and created their dream of becoming a rapper or a singer or even getting their song sold and played over the radio by big bands or musicians. I've talked with a lot of people, and each time I found out that they had something very different. They had broken down what was really driving them, what they were really passionate about. But I learned this lesson really from my mother. You see, my mother always wanted to be what she is now, an occupational therapist. She was told at a young age that she was too stupid, pretty much. No, you're not college material, don't even bother. And she took that to heart and she went out and she started doing other jobs. Each time she was miserable. And then she decided, no, she'll pursue her goal. But at that same point, she also was trying to figure out what it was that was really driving her. What it was that really gave her the pleasure, the excitement in life. And she began to break it down to what and who she really was. You see, passion isn't about what you want or what interests you. No, that's not a passion. Oh, he's such a passionate musician. He has such passion for writing. No. Passion. Passion is what drives you. It's what motivates you. It's what keeps you going when you don't think you can go anymore. Because passion is who you are. Your greatest passion will define who you are in life. Now, how do you do that? The first thing is you figure out what it is you want, right? What do you want to be? What do you really want? Just come out with it. I had a friend who said, I want to be a wife and a mother. And this really was her passion in one way or another. And she was miserable because she didn't have that. So I asked her to really break it down. What's important about being what you want to be? What's important about being that wife and mother in her case? And she said, well, I want to care and be loved for. Okay, and what's important about the caring and the love? It makes me feel as if I'm important. Now we were getting someplace. You see, as I said, my mother really opened my eyes to this model. Because my mother took a huge variance of jobs. She was a cab driver. She was a daycare provider. And then she finally got her career going as an occupational therapist. So what does cab driving and daycare and occupational therapy all have in common? Well, at first it doesn't seem like it has anything, but these were the things that really, you could see the change in her when she talked about them. Each part fueled her. It gave her a certain joy that she did them. There were jobs that she took that really didn't appease to her at all, but this here really did. And for her, when she looked at it and she started breaking down, I've always wanted to be helpful, she said. Just as my friend said, I always want to be important. She wants to be important. And what's important for her about being important is that she then can get the other things. That if she can push herself into the places where she feels respected, needed, and important, then anything she does, she begins to feel fulfilled. And the problem was that she was taking jobs that just used her. They didn't need her in that way. They didn't assist her, and they didn't make her feel important in the way she wanted to feel important. And you go, well, what job does that? But in truth, you can find your importance in anything you're doing. Just as my mother could find being helpful in the job of a cab driver. She could find being helpful in the job of a daycare. She could find being helpful as an occupational therapist, but she could also find being helpful when she fully realized what this was, and she looked at her past careers as a secretary or an assistant. Though it was a miserable job for her then because she didn't know what she wanted, she looks back at it now and goes, it did give me that feeling of being helpful. When you know what it is that truly affords you your passion, when you break it down, when you go through 3 simple things, what is it that you really want? Why do you want it? And what's important about the things that you really want that experience for? You want to be a football player? Why? Because you want to have people all around you liking you. What's important about that? It makes you feel loved. So what's really important for that person? It's not to be the football star. They might have broken their leg. They might not have a leg. They might not be able to qualify for any reason. But what they really want is to feel loved. And if you want to feel loved, you can feel love in anything you do. You can go out and feel love in your work. If you know how and you know what your importance is, and when you know what your passion is, you can then begin to link that passion to your work, to what you're doing, to anything you're doing, especially linking it and making sure it's direct with your vision. Does your vision make you feel the way that your passion, the thing that really motivates you, does it connect with it? Does it form it? Does it outline it in the way that truly appeases you? Without knowing what it is that truly drives you, you're going to always have some difficulty. You're always going to suffer in some way, and it's going to be difficult for you. But when you know what truly drives you, when you break it down for yourself, you're always always going to be able to just experience things on a new level, on a new sphere, plateau of existence. Finally, let's talk about emotional control. For me, the greatest story I have about the need for emotional control comes when I was about 10 or 11 years old. I was going to Hampton Beach with my family and my best friend at the time, David. It was a beautiful day. I mean, the whole week before, it was just storming. There was a hurricane off the coast, so we had tropical storms almost every day. There was no going outside. So finally, the sun was out, the sun baking down. You could smell the sweet grass, the smell of dirt. Oh, it was beautiful. It was one of those perfect days where everything feels great. And as we get to the beach, we see these huge waves. Just these huge waves crashing down. Now, when it comes to emotional control, there's a bunch of emotions that come when you see huge waves. I mean waves that probably went 5, 6 feet, when the usual wave you get is maybe 6 inches a foot when you're talking about Hampton. And I had all these different emotions because I was excited still. I was thrilled. I was happy. Yes, we're here. We're going to get in the water. We're going to have fun. I'm here with my best friend, and I feel that excitement. And I feel that nervousness, and I feel all those other things. You see, we rarely just feel one thing. When we're happy, there's always the possibility to feel sadness. When there's sadness, there's always the possibility to feel happy. There's always the possibility to get caught in a pendulum swing of going from anger to sadness to this really weird indifference, and just keep going back and forth, feeling this awkwardness, feeling this tension. Now, when you get caught in those types of swings, what happens is that you are no longer in control of yourself. What happens is, like two young boys who go into the water and are enjoying themselves, loving that they're being lifted up high off the ground and looking back at a beach and going, wow, we're so high up, and then getting dropped right back down and having all that fun. That sometimes you'll have that huge up and then you get brought back down. But then, see, things can go really wrong really fast. You can be achieving, you can be on the road, you can have your passions aligned with everything you're doing. You can be taking all the steps, be proactive in getting where you want to go. And then, that big wave comes. It's huge. And it looks so fun. But then you see it cresting. You see that it's going to break right on top of you. And all of a sudden, you're dragged right under the water. When you don't have emotional control, it's just like wave after wave comes collapsing on you like it did when I was 10 years old. That wave hit, and all of a sudden I was under the water, and the wind knocked out of me, and I can't breathe in because I'm underwater. And as I try to resurface, as I'm trying to get back up, the undertow pulls my legs from under me. And another wave comes crashing down while I'm on my back, which means that my throat and my nose and everything just fills with the salt water. And my eyes burn as I open them to try to see up or down, because when I thought I was going up, I suddenly felt the bottom of the sand, and I realized that I wasn't swimming up, I was swimming down, and I'm still being dragged. Now, as I'm still being dragged out into the water, I'm starting to panic, and I don't know if I should just give up, if I should just quit. if this should just be the end. And then I remember what my mother told me. When you're caught in the undertow, start to swim sideways. Now I knew if I did not take action, if I didn't take control of my emotions, if even though those waves kept crashing down on me while I was underwater, wave after wave after wave, and my feet continuing to be dragged, if I didn't take control, if I didn't start to do what I knew had to be done, I wouldn't be here speaking to you today. And even at 10, I had to take control of my emotions, and I had to remember, and I had to start swimming. I had to start swimming fast. I had to start swimming hard. I had to start swimming sideways, like I was told. And I started rolling a little bit, and I curved a bit, but eventually, the undertow was gone. The waves had settled just enough for me to hop up, take that deep breath, breaking the surface right when another wave comes and pushes me down just a bit, but not enough for me to not know that I can hop right back up. Not enough to keep me down. That's what emotional control is. Emotional control is that when those waves are breaking on you, you need to take control. You need to accept the situation at hand, not try to change it. Not try to figure out why it's happening. Accept it. Push forward and move on. And take action to fix it, to get out of it, to accomplish what you want. You have to take the steps. You have to make the moves. You have to fully embrace what you're feeling. Fear, anger, sadness, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're trying to fight it, if you're trying to say that I shouldn't feel this way, that why do I have to feel this way? Why is it wrong? Why is it happening? Why everything? Then you're going to catch yourself saying why when you should be saying what. What do I do? How do I do it? What can happen from here? And when you're stuck on why, everything else will pass you by. When you want to get emotional control, the first thing, the easiest thing for you to do, not when you're underwater though, but when you're just in a normal situation when things are starting to get out of control, is put focus on your feet. Right now, your feet are in your shoes. Right now, your feet are pressed against the bottom of your shoe, which is pressed against the floor. Your foot might be wrapped in a sock as well. And so the bottom of your foot is pressed against the sock, the softness of the sock, and you can feel it, but you can also feel the hardness of the shoe. But you can also feel the hardness of the floor beneath your shoe. There are all these sensations that you're not aware of when things are going wrong around you. But once you put your feeling there, you're going to be brought into the present moment. You're going to be brought into feeling and being in the present. Because this is the only place that really matters for you. If you're not in the present moment, if you're not here now to deal with the things, if you're worrying about or creating a future where everything's falling apart, if you're worrying about seeing a future where everything's just getting difficult, or you're worrying about and trying to figure out in the past what you could have done differently, you're not going to get anywhere. This is where it's happening, and this is where you have to be. Then, be honest about what you're feeling. Look into yourself and feel it completely. Say, I am really sad. Say, I am feeling very sad at this moment in time. Because it's not going to be forever. It's not going to be even hours or minutes. It can be right now. Just let it be with you. See, what you fight, what you resist, persists. That's how they say. What you resist, persists. And when you're trying to resist emotions, all you're doing is just putting it in there and bottling it up and hoping that it's not going to blow the cap off. But eventually that pressure will build. You can't fight emotions. You can't fight uncertainty. You can't fight all these feelings you have. You have to feel them. You have to embrace them completely. And when you embrace them completely, then ask yourself, now how can I make myself happier? What is good about this emotion? What is good about this feeling? What is it giving me that I need right now? See, fear is very good if you see a rattlesnake. If you see a rattlesnake, you want to feel fear. If you see somebody you care about hurt, feeling sadness is a natural and powerful thing to empathize with that person. And when somebody does you wrong, feeling anger is your natural and powerful way to tell you that this is a person that brings negativity into your life. But if you deny it, if you resist these feelings, if you resist truly embracing what it is that you feel, then you're not going to have an accurate portrayal. You're going to just bottle it up and you're going to take it out on the wrong people. You're going to use it poorly and it's going to hurt you more. You need to be able to move forward. You need to be able to achieve more. And the only way you can do that is by fully engaging in yourself. And letting yourself feel what you feel in the present moment. So remember, when things begin to go wrong, when you feel things are out of your control, when you feel that you're going way off track, bring yourself in the present moment just by focusing on your feet. Then state to yourself what you're feeling. Ask yourself what the positive result of that feeling is, and then focus on what positive emotions you need to have to get yourself to where you're going. Just as I focused on what I needed to do, I had to accept the reality of what was happening. I was underwater. I couldn't breathe. I was trapped. I was being dragged out. If I resisted, I would have been gone. But by accepting the reality and accepting that it was happening, I could then allow my body to be pulled over into the right way that I could then start maneuvering myself to swim sideways. There is always a reason for what you're feeling. And when you fully accept that feeling, you can begin to work your way out of it. You can begin to see how it can be used to help you instead of hurt you. But it begins with acceptance. When you use these 4 principles, when you have your vision and you take proactive action and you align it with that passion and drive that's inside of you, and at all points you keep your emotional control, your entire world is yours to create. Your life is yours to design. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, whatever it is that you truly have in you to get out into the world, is yours to do. All you have to do is use these 4 principles. Use them today. Use them right now. And take control of your life.